Alrighty guys, Lord Nitro 101 coming back at you on the old YouTube here. Some people had requested this, some people that are watching my stream, and some people in the community, the Monk Mafia and stuff like that. So I thought I'd throw it quickly together. Couple things have changed, so we'll go over that as we get into the game and into the video. Alrighty, so let's start it all off. Alright, so basically when Season 4 launches, you'll end up in this situation where you create a seasonal character, you get it all ready to go, whatever class you pick, put the name in, create the character. As long as you have completed the actual game, like you have killed Mathael, whether last season or on live, you will have the option of starting Season 4 with Adventure Mode open. So you would just select on Adventure Mode, you click Save and Close. In my opinion, you should always start on Hard. Expert's a little bit, not enough experience, same thing as normal. I would rather start on Hard. It's not going to be that difficult to begin with, so you would generally want to just progress with that. Alright, so you would start the game. And another thing to take note of as well, because there's a lot of hype around this particular patch, 2.3, and some of the new seasonal items that we'll gain, I do recommend for sure that you're probably around at least an hour before Season 4 starts. Get yourself connected, be in one of the servers when they do trigger it. As for Season 3, you'll have a lot of issues, and we had some issues, people not being able to log in. There was an overload on the system, so it's actually much better to be logged in particular. So I highly recommend that you do that. Alright, so we'll start with some of the most common ways to level. But before you do that, when you first get into the game, I highly recommend that you level in a group. Ideally, the best comp for that particular thing is I'm going to be starting a monk in Season 4, as I am part of the Monk Mafia clan, and I've been playing monk for a long time. Your ideal setup would be, of course, 4 monks, so that you guys can loot share and do all that kind of stuff. So I find that if you're going to have to solo it, it will take you much longer. So it may be a difficult haul for you. Alright, so what you want to do is you start here. You will go down to your followers. In particular, you can take their weapons off, because if you notice, you start out with a weapon that's only like 3 damage. So that's really not that high to start off with. So you want to pull that weapon off. You can steal it off your follower, the Templar. You can also have a look at, if you look at the Enchantress, hers is 7.5. For those people that actually play, Demon Hunters, i.e. even Witch Doctors, if I can remember right, they can equip a bow. So there's sort of the first weapon I would think you'd want to start off with. So right off the bat, you start out with some pretty good damage to start off with. Okay, now as for the leveling, different leveling techniques, as of right now, there is only a couple tricks, but we have a feeling that Blizzard will repair them before the patch 2.3 and Season 4 starts. So it looks like we're going to have to go back to the older method of doing these things. So ideally, the first thing we'll start off with is the most common one, is bounties. Now, if you look at the way the bounty system runs, we've also gained a new area in Act 3 called the Ruins of Sescheron, which is the old barbarian stronghold. So you'll have that new area as well. As I had mentioned in the actual sort of update video that I had done for YouTube, the extra cash that they used to give us, which was blood shards, now that has been switched over to the extra cash, now contains the crafting materials that we will require for the cube itself. So it's one of those things that we're definitely going to have to sort of track as you hit 70. So if you look at through the bounty system itself, because we have gained that new area, uh, the ruins of Sesseron. So you gained a little bit more. But if you actually look at the bounty rewards, especially it's sort of that early game, um, I wouldn't find that the XP per hour, which is ideally what you're going to start out with, especially when you first start the season, um, the reward for them is probably not going to be high enough, other than gaining some of those early materials. And in some cases, you may get fortunate and extremely fortunate out of you may acquire some legendaries out of those. But as per XP per hour, I don't think it's going to be beneficial, so I probably won't do that method. Um, but it is something that you really will consider as quickly as you can. I would not be surprised to see most people hitting probably about 60, maybe 65, and then coming out of the two methods that I'm going to describe to you that I think was probably the most beneficial. Now, ideally, the first one, of course, uh, if you follow along and has been for a very, very long time, is the Halls of Agony. It has been a leveling technique for a very, very long time, and most times it's what you're actually combating. So most people, we actually go into the Halls of Agony 3. It's a pretty straightforward path. So if I jump quickly into there, I'm currently in, like I said, hard mode, right? And I've got my weapons, and most of what you fight in here is very, very easy to combat. You will get an elite pack in here and that kind of stuff, but you'll find that you'll go through them really, really quickly. Um, so you'll find the zombies that spawn out of the fire pits. You'll find some of the crawling creatures like the Dark Hellions, the skeletons. So in most cases, you'll find that you'll be able to use this method. My only fear, because there's a lot of hype around this particular season coming up, as well as the patch itself, I feel personally that you're not going to have the ability like we have in the past couple of seasons to actually be able to reset your game. So I don't think this method is going to be probably the most ideal way of doing it, um, just because I feel that the reset may be an issue. So you may get fortunate. It just depends on how everything goes. But it looks like season 4 is going to launch on a Friday night. So it looks like we'll probably have a very, very good number of people playing and starting at the season, at the start of the season. So I feel really that it's not going to be the most beneficial way of doing it, because if you can't restart the game to get back in to redo this method, you're going to lose out time. And that is some of the issues that we did have in the past 2 seasons that we played, was that issue. And if you notice, I'm gaining some really good XP in here. One thing that you could do, if you didn't want to go right into the next method that I'm going to mention, you could definitely run this particular thing until you actually reach level 10, and then actually go in to what I would recommend. Probably the best method of what's going to end up happening, I think is probably the way I will do it. The launch of the season is probably do it the way I have done it now. Is I'll go through here, do my best to fight as much as I possibly can, and gain at least up to level 10. I feel that you can do it on hard. You do realize that in a 4-man team, you would be going through this content much faster. Each sort of particular class that you're farming with will have gained some skills, will have gained some gear, that kind of thing. But ideally only go to the butcher if it does spawn. Try to kill as many things as you can. Most things in here will be fairly easy for you to kill. And as you level up, you're going to have some of your skill sets. I'm just going to back out here. and see if I can't toughen up, right? Like I've now got my thunderclap, my lasting tail kick will do a little bit more, that kind of stuff. So you can actually, you'll gain your passives early enough that you'll be able to do something with. And then at that level, you should be all right. So like I said, you can use this method. I would not cycle like most people I feel are probably going to do, just because it may be the fastest sort of method of doing it. My only fear, like I said, the night of it, I feel that you will probably have an issue staying connected to the game. And it's all going to be about what I call uh, the best quality of leveling up. So anytime that you disconnect to the server, you may or may not be able to get right back on away. So it would actually delay your progress of actually leveling up. So whether that occurs, I don't know. I know a lot of people last season actually used this method to level up. Going through here, sometimes you can find the cursed events, the cursed chests. So there's some extra bonus sort of XP that you can find in here. Like I said, the only problem that I feel that you may encounter is that because there may be an overload on the system, you're going to have to come out of the game to reset this level. You might not be able to connect. Alright, so we'll quickly go to town. I'm going to do my best not to make this sort of a long video. I just noticed something. So another thing you can also look forward to, I'm getting the buff because I'm actually on the PTR, and there is a community buff right now. If you did see their Bloodshot Goblins were there, I would have normally gone to attack them, but I don't want to make this video any longer than it needs to be. Okay, so now the next method I think is probably going to be the best way of doing it, whether gear and XP. With the changes that they did to greater rifts and standard rifts, or ideally what we call Nephalem Rifts, they have removed the actual standard rift keys. They're gone. They're out of the game for this particular patch, so you don't require them anymore. However, you cannot get into greater rifts until you have reached level 70. So in my opinion, I think it's probably going to be a much better choice for us in particular, that this is probably going to be some of the better methods of doing it. And to take note as well is with the changes that they did to the materials, we no longer have the low level materials. So I'll give you a good example that I'm about to salvage a gray item, and I automatically get reusable parts. So right off the bat, we're actually getting what we would consider in the current patch 2.2 and in season 3, we're gaining the level 70 crafting materials. Same thing like I gained the arcane dust when I salvaged the blue or I picked the blue up. So I think that's going to be a really good method. The only thing, like I said, the only fear of actually doing just Nephalem Rifts is the content that you're going to fight in there is going to be much stronger, and you will encounter an awful lot more fixes in there. But I truly believe that this is probably going to be the best method if you're in a 4-man team to actually combat things that are in here. So you're just going to have to be cautious while you are in here. Try to avoid any deaths that may occur just because it'll slow your progress down. But I truly believe that this is probably going to be the best way to do it in a 4-man team, just because of what you can acquire. And in doing this method, you also got to remember that we will also be gaining all of those materials that once you do hit 70, you're going to want to craft stuff, reforge things. So you will actually get some materials as you build up. And if you notice, I'm getting drops and I'm getting chests, and I can find a lot of items and some pieces right off the bat. So I just feel that this is probably going to be the best sort of method. And once you kill the actual Rift Guardian in here, he will drop all this, all the stuff that you're going to get to reward. So I do feel that this method is probably going to be the way of doing it. But I think I would use like the Halls of Agony to see if I could actually level myself up much stronger. So at least when you enter into the rifts themselves, you are at least 10, so that you have your first skill. Um, and your skill sets are up, and you've managed, like in my case, because I'm playing a monk, I've gained the Thunderclap for the Fist of Thunder, the Lashing Tail Kick, which is one of the ones we start out with. I've gained the Vulture Claw Kick, so you're gaining some of the skill sets. And then also, if you can get yourself to level 10, of course, you gain your first passive. So I think that's probably your best method, is to gain these kind of skill sets before you actually get into the Nephalem Rifts themselves. As for, like I had said at the very beginning of the video, at this current moment there is no tricks, ways of fast leveling ourselves. There was some earlier stuff that has already been repaired. So, like I said, I think that that's probably what's going to end up happening. I just feel that it's probably a much, much better way actually having everything do what we need it to do. Alrighty, guys. So that like I said, that pretty well wraps up the video itself. Thank you very much for tuning into it, that kind of stuff. And look for more videos as we get into the patch 2.3 and of course season 4. Alright, so and if you liked the video, if you have any other comments or questions, like I said, just make them below, and I'll do my best to answer them as quickly as I can. Alright, I'm off.